Hi, you are watching Christian Vibes TV, your favorite gospel entertainment bloghouse in Ghana, West Africa, and the whole world at large. If you like our videos, please do subscribe by clicking the subscribe button down below and turn on the bell to receive post notifications and alerts.
Hello, Christian Viber. Welcome to your favorite gospel entertainment blog house, your number one stop channel for all your gospel content in Ghana, West Africa, the whole world at large. Christian Vibes TV. If today's your first time doing the watching on the channel, kindly subscribe by clicking the subscribe button down below and turn on the bell beside it to receive post notifications and alerts whenever we post a new video. And hey, Happy New Year. Happy New Year 2024. We pray that this year brings us bigger blessings. This year brings us bigger manifestations of the things that the Lord promised us in the previous years. You know, my name has been Neza Brown, and I'm your global creative lead at Christian Vibes GH. Now, today there has been a story, or this 2024, there has been one of the captivating and controversial stories that have been treading our internet space in Africa, specifically, and the world at large. I'm talking with regards to the BBC documentary that was released about Prophet TB Joshua some weeks ago, and which has gathered so much conversations in the media space in Africa, and also on some tables of conversations in higher places and in lower places. I'm talking about the internet and then in the church. There has been a side of the conversation that has been trending on social media that a lot of people have not paid attention to. It also comes with responsibility that when you make utterances with respect to certain conversations, you show the facts and the figures are acquainted and attached to it, so that people will not live in oblivion of the fact that there is a new wave, or there is a wave that is blowing the Christendom away, and that you are skewing away from the gospel of God, Jesus, or any other thing like that. So I'm talking with respect to an article or a publication I saw on Facebook about a day or two ago, which specifically mentioned certain denominational leaders in Nigeria who probably has spearheaded a conversation like this that has pushed BBC to delve into conversations and tackle issues such as the late Prophet TB Joshua's conversations. Let me read this publication I saw on Facebook for you, and we'll get to understand where I'm coming from with this conversation. So I chanced on this conversation on Facebook a day or two ago, as I mentioned earlier, and it was a publication that was written by a Ghanaian follower, a Ghanaian who had followed TB Joshua's ministry for some time now. And so let me read for you to understand. Great, yeah. So it starts like this. Prophet TB Joshua, the monster created by his contemporaries, a flip side of BBC's documentary. So this writer published this story on his Facebook, talking about the flip side of the conversation. That is how Prophet TB Joshua's contemporaries, or his group mates, or his age mates, or his religious mates that he came up with in Nigeria, has orchestrated a conversation like this about him for BBC to tackle or to touch on his issues in such a manner. It says, in the midst of the roaring current, it is very important to take very important lessons in regard to the trending issue about the expose on TB Joshua by BBC. I must say I have taken time to watch all the 3 episodes of the expose, and seriously, anyone can say whatever they want to say concerning the documentary. I realize Christendom is divided into 3 lines in relation to their take on the matter. Whereas one group believes strongly that there were abuses and therefore the matter should be taken seriously, another group also believes that the man of God is being maligned. The third group are on the fence and have chosen not to speak on the issue at all. I mean, when the issue came up, myself, I had vowed not to speak on the issue because there are certain conversations that are above our space, above the things that we do on the internet. But then this has called for me to talk about, because I liked his perspective. I liked what he touched on. And so I want to share with you to understand certain things that has been done in the backlight, which has led to issues like this being popped up day in and day out with regard to Prophet TB Joshua's issue. I continue to read. It says, for me and many others who are fully current with issues, this is not the first time TB Joshua is coming under intense criticism and scrutiny. We have news items with dates as far back as October 2001, publishing certain details of their negative take on the widely known prophet. We had other clergymen like Apostle Joshua Suleiman venting his displeasure on the prophet until he had to stand down recently. Previously, he demeaned him so much. We have also heard people like Archbishop Idahosa of blessed memory not entirely taking sides with TB Joshua. We cannot overlook both the Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, and the Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria, that's PFN. Non-inclusion of TB Joshua amongst them. Do you recall Apostle Arome Osai on him? So this writer makes mention of certain denominational leaders or certain leaders in the Christian space in Nigeria who took sides or who did not take sides on the issues of TB Joshua. He makes mention of the late Prophet Benson Idahosa. He also mentions Apostle Joshua Suleiman, and also has mentioned Apostle Arome Osai, that these people did not really take side on TB Joshua. Some disdained him, and others also did not recognize him. Even the Association of Nigerian Pentecostals did not really recognize TB Joshua when he was alive to be part of the organization. And so such conversations has spearheaded certain things for BBC to even have an area to tap into, to dig certain things which were not supposed to be put out there for people to see. I think that is the perspective this person or this writer is trying to come from. I continue to read. He says, the version of TB Joshua we have witnessed, criticized over time, is actually a monster that was created by well-known religious or well-known Christian leaders. This is actually a hard blow, you know, that this version of TB Joshua that we are seeing on the internet that portrays him as a lunatic, a heretic, a murderer, an abuser. This particular image or this particular version of TB Joshua, which has been created on the internet, was actually fueled by some well-known Christian leaders. Wow, that's interesting. Let's continue reading. It says, meanwhile, majority of followers of these very esteemed people would want to vindicate him now. You may be surprised, but the very leaders of the CAN and PFN and other prominent men of God created this current version of TB Joshua. Perhaps his death may have toned down their stand. Do you recall that when he died, many known men of God were accused of not attending his funeral? When TB Joshua died, a lot of prominent men of God in Nigeria, even across the land of Africa, did not attend TB Joshua's funeral. If they unanimously agreed with him, why did they withdraw from his funeral? The writer is asking. Personally, I have read some few articles and some videos which painted him in a very bad light. We also have read articles from men like Pastor Enoch Adejare Adeboye of the RCCG, Pastor Christopher Ogene Brori Oketie. God, you know, those are Nigerian names. Okotie, that's Chris Okote. Pastor Oyodele Joseph Oriche Bobim. There's a name over there. So Pastor Oyodele Oriche Jaffor, popularly known as Papa Ayo Oriche Jaffor, formerly president of PFN, Apostle Johnson Suleiman and Apostle Arome Osai, just to mention a few. There were prophets in Ghana who disdained him as well. In these articles that have been written about him, I would quote, strong stand was taken against TB Joshua, questioning his very claim to be born again. One of the foundational reasons for rejecting him joining these organizations and associating with these top religious or top Christian leaders is that he was not born again. So most of these religious leaders questioned TB Joshua's claim that he was being born again. In fact, some time ago, I think TB Joshua made a proclamation that he was born again, or he thought that being born again starts in your mother's womb. And some of these religious leaders did not agree with him like that. And so some actually did not want to take a stand with TB Joshua when he was alive. It was after his death that people tried to associate themselves and relate as if they are part of the space, as if they really empathize with him, but then it's not. So he continues to read. Among the fanatics, they surprisingly hold in high esteem these men who battered the clergyman while he was still alive. In order to bring proofs, let me post verbatim some of the articles reporting the stand of some of these men. This from the PM News Nigeria. The likes of Pastor Enoch Adeboye, General Overseer of the Redeemed Christian Church of Nigeria, Pastor Pastor Ayo Oriche Jaffor, Bishop David Oyedepo, and many others rejected Joshua until his death. Adeboye in 2009 said he would never go to Joshua's church to minister. He was quoted as saying in the Vanguard, when asked whether he would worship in TB Joshua's church, he said no, definitely not. If he wants me to come, that's he speaking in reference of TB Joshua. If he wants me to come and minister in his church, we will sit down and we will discuss the issue of salvation the way I understand it according to scriptures. If we agree on that and he now wants me to come and preach the same message of salvation in his church, then I will go. To Adeboye, Joshua was never born again, and so he could not associate himself with him. Oriche Jaffor, when he was PFN president and CAN chairman, said the body would not admit Joshua in its fold because they were not convinced that he was a child of God. He had said then that before Joshua could even qualify to be a PFN member, he should show who tortured him as a pastor in the first place. Oriche Jaffor was quoted as saying, Jesus did not say, by their words you will know them. He said, by the fruit you shall know them. If TB Joshua can show me his pastor who pastored him before he said he was called into ministry, if TB Joshua can tell me when he got converted and now he got converted, then and how he got converted, then we would consider him. Anybody who is a Christian because he received Jesus Christ at a point. I gathered he said he was converted in his mother's womb, and I don't see anybody like that in the Bible. It is a conscious decision to make, and doesn't happen in your mother's womb. He said healing and miracles were not criteria for admitting anyone into the PFN fold or the CAN fold. So this was the Pastor Oriche Jaffor, the chairman of the CAN and then the PFN. And these people actually had a stand or did not really want to associate themselves with TB Joshua. What this writer is trying to tell us is that the conversation which has been orchestrated by BBC, or how BBC has been able to find a space in the Christendom to more like torture the name of TB Joshua, was foundationally laid by some of these top-notch men of God in Nigeria and in across Africa, who really did not like the man of God even when he was alive. It continues to read that, are you aware that the government of Cameroon allegedly banned TB Joshua in 2010? Wikipedia makes the matter worse and mentions certain men of God who were strongly against the clergyman. Joshua, so this according to Wikipedia, Joshua was intensely controversial. Several prominent pastors in and outside Nigeria condemned him, including Pastor Chris Okotie, who described him as a son of the devil, as well as Enoch Adeboye, David Oyedepo, Ayo Oricha Jaffor, Paul Adefarasin, Matthew Ashimolowo, and Ted Haggard, the Christian Association of Nigeria, rejected him, although CAN delegation attended his funeral, and the Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria often criticized him. Numerous evangelical and Pentecostal figures in Nigeria denounced Joshua as an imposter and occult figure in posing as an evangelical. This article is like really, really detailed and sad, you know. In 2010, Cameroon's foreign minister Henry Eyebe Ayisi termed Joshua as a son of the devil pretending to be a man of God. Wow. And advised hundreds of Cameroonians not to take a planned pilgrimage to Lagos, where several others had been left without accommodation. Rumors of a visit by Joshua to Zimbabwe in 2012 led to an intense national debate, culminating with pastors and politicians strongly objecting. Beloved, BBC is just echoing the age-old controversy and views held by the very men of God you esteem to be genuine. We have to access this documentary very well and stop being too fanatical. The seed that was sown has actually germinated and is growing. I would throw more light on this in my next write-up. So this writer actually has gave so much insights into something that probably was a foundation that was laid down by religious leaders or popular denominational leaders in Nigeria who have actually orchestrated such a conversation for BBC to tap in. It is more prudent for us to know that Christians as we are, whatever we say in times like this, or even after, will be held accountable for them. Maybe we may not like somebody's way of teaching. Maybe we may not like somebody's way of operating. But the Bible tells us that we should allow the fruits and the weeds all to what? Grow together. It is in the harvest that the Lord will sieve and plow all these things out. But then while on earth, when we take stance on issues like this and we come out against people who are also speaking the name of God, it becomes a little bit disheartening and gives way for what we call the devil to tap into spaces that we were not supposed to allow them to. I mean, I wouldn't say BBC did release the documentary to tarnish the image of the prophets. Probably he might have done all those things, but he's human. There are Christians who work at BBC, so BBC will not go against the people. It will not protect the religious beliefs or integrity of some of its workers. There are Christians at BBC, so BBC will not release a documentary to tarnish the image of Christianity. For what purpose? But then, if the man of God had done all these things, and we did not actually put them into orchestration, into media orchestration, into media limelight, maybe probably some of these things would not have gotten here by now. We wouldn't have been here to type hashtag I stand with TB Joshua. What are you standing with TB Joshua for? When he was alive, a lot of religious leaders, not religious leaders, denominational leaders, according to the write-up, took a stand against him, did not like him when he was alive. It is prudent for us to understand that as Christians, it is not ours to judge. It is not ours to, set aside or throw away. We should let God be God and do what he likes. My name has been Neza Brown. This has been Christian Vibes TV. If today is your first time watching our channel, kindly subscribe and turn on the bell beside it to receive post notifications and alerts whenever we post a new video on this content. Catch you next time. Hey, I've spoken for more than